which leads to the gates of the other world. The last slab of stone is going to be sealed with such cunning that it will never be known which part of the wall was the door. Gives the final farewell.
Thou, King, thou leavest us not dead, thou departest alive. If thou goest, thou shalt return soon. If thou sleepest, thou shalt awaken. If thou diest, thou shalt walk again. Thou, who hast risen to the undying stars, thou shalt never disappear.
Dynasty succeeded dynasty. But among all the monarchs of ancient Egypt, none is more appealing than this young pharaoh, a poet and a mystic who followed Amenhotep III.
Civilization in its splendor had spread southward step by step, making the valley of the Nile like a triumphal way, bordered by the papyri of learning, furrows of prosperity, terraces of peaceful living and deep meditating tombs. The flame of knowledge had passed from Memphis to Thebes.
Large, pensive eyes, a weak body and girlish softness, such is the strange youth who has been made all-powerful. He leaves Thebes in order to found his own city. He rejects the god Amon and his priests to worship a god of his own choosing, Aton, who is in heaven. And he discards the name of Amenhotep IV to adopt another, Akhenaton. Aton, the unique.
Surrounding the royal wives fall. The veils are drawn back, and in centuries to come, people will see and love the graceful figure of Nefertiti. She was by his side in his struggle to establish the new faith. Of this faith, she was like a reflection. Her radiance inspired sculptors. Thus, the image of her beauty came to us in stone.
30 years old, and he died. 3,300 years ago, he wrote and recited this prayer.
Aton takes my breath. You possess my heart. You are the maker and giver of all things, and men live by your grace. Aton, living and life-giving forever and ever.
Their love lasted but a season, the time of a bloom called Nefertiti. Yet there is sadness still in the hearts of men. His successor's name was to have been Tutankhaten. He chose to be known as Tutankhamen, after the old god of tradition. Frail and tender, Tutankhamen died not yet 20, after a reign of 6 years. But 3,000 years have not yet withered his fine, youthful face, nor tarnished the treasures gathered round him in his unfinished tomb of the Valley of the Kings. Today, the world marvels at them.
Who know the untouchable stars, know too that the Nile which made Egypt cannot unmake Egypt. I saw conquerors reflect before me and bow their heads. I saw Alexander the Great, handsome as a barbarian, thoughtful as a prophet. Here, somewhere in this earth, he rests, awaiting resurrection. I saw Caesar one evening. He feared the sun. Our last queen, Cleopatra, bore him a child, but Caesarion was not a true pharaoh and died before ascending the throne. I saw Napoleon and his burning eyes. Centuries passed over my forehead, yet those great soldiers raised no more than dust. I have known years of despair. An irascible emir of the Middle Ages disliked my smile, thought it pagan and ironical, and so had me disfigured by his artillery. Then children found me ugly. No longer did anyone come and pray at my feet, or listen to me. The keys of old Egypt were lost. I was nearly buried in sand. All our knowledge, our very soul, rolled in thousands of papyri, was sleeping unknown and unintelligible in dark and silent tombs.
Did happen. It was in 1799, near Rosetta. One of Napoleon's officers discovered a stone, a monolith, bearing an edict issued by Ptolemy. The inscription was in Greek characters and hieroglyphs. This was the cornerstone of Egyptology.
True, it still remained to interpret its message. First came an Englishman, then a Frenchman, Champollion, the true father of Egyptian philology. He was so inspired as to decipher the lost tongue of ancient Egypt from a few mysterious hieroglyphs.
Then it was like a resurrection. All at once, from the funerary chambers to the peaks of the pyramids, hieroglyphs were born to a new life. Herons, lotus flowers, fishes, hares and drapes, the mysterious characters suddenly woke up, and sang like preachers of the fields as the sun rises. It is as if in answer to a celestial call of trumpets, old Egypt had risen from its grave, young and immortal. Young, immortal, and rich in beauty, like Nefertiti.
Unearthed from their deep silence, the papyri rustled with 100 voices. They had bloomed on the bank of the Nile. They had crossed through time. And then, 5,000 years later, they unfolded the dramatic story of a civilization. From their leaves even rises the voice of the first schoolboys who struggled to write. They were weary and feared decay.
Master, because you beat me, I have learnt my lesson.
Child, no matter how great and deep our knowledge, offer your constant thanks to God. He will grant you his grace always.
And learned men from the whole world in quest of this civilization stronger than sand and death were enthralled when, in maxims and proverbs, they found a wisdom as ancient as the pyramids, as eternally young. In the depths of the tombs, they heard voices rising again after thousands of years.
The plans of men never wholly succeed, but only what God has ordained.
If you want to keep the friendship of people you visit as master, brother, or friend, beware of women. The room where they sit is full of ill feelings.
Do not answer good by evil. Justice comes before strength.
And historians were deeply moved, because so many centuries later they were reading, yes, love letters.
What can be sweeter than walking in the fields before a man one loves?
I can no longer touch your heart. Why?
If I go walking, you are there with me, everywhere, with every step. My hand is in your hand.
Listening to your voice troubles my mind. My whole life hangs on your lips. For me, seeing you is better than eating or drinking.
Such was my message from the depth of the ages. Girls' voices, the voice of wise men, of children, the voices of ancient Egypt. And if those voices sounded familiar to you, it is because their first echo had already reached you through Greece and Rome, Christianity and Islam. Tomorrow, once more, the rising sun will give me his first caress. Thousands of other suns shall rise again, and man's oldest achievement will remain the highest, the purest.
The Nile be praised, for it is the father of all our harvests, all our knowledge, all our architecture, all our strength.
The Nile be praised. From its bank came one of the 7 wonders of the world.
The Nile be praised, for it bears tomorrow's prosperity and happiness.
The Nile, river of hope, from Aswan to the Delta.
The Nile, which is not a grave,
but a cradle.
In the course of time, only human achievements crumble and fall. But the spirit which conceived these monuments cannot